Members, we have a quorum. We've reached the appointed hour. Agenda item number 1, meeting with the administration. So please invite the officials into the room. As for matters arising, the amendment order has passed the 28-day limit, and therefore the amendment order will commence on the 31st of March. As for the inquiry made by Mr. Albert Chan in respect of the administration accepting our proposal to extend the amendment order, the legal advisors already answered Mr. Chan's question. The administration can introduce another amendment order so as to amend or repeal the order before us, and the date should be before the 31st of March, and also the whole scrutiny period, that is 28 days plus 21 days. I don't know whether the legal advisor would like to add anything to that. At the last meeting, Mr. Albert Chan has raised a question, already answered the question. If there is if 28 days plus 21 days are added to the 31st of March, then the ideal play date for Gazette is the 5th of February. The nearest LegCo meeting is the 17th, so there will not be a period of 28 plus 21 days before the 31st of March. Before the 31st of March, if the Bureau wants to amend the order, it can do so at any time, as long as it is gazetted before the 31st of March. And when the new amendment commences, then the objective will be achieved. We don't know what amendments the Bureau is going to make, so it will be difficult for us to give further legal advice in this regard. All right, the administration has also given a written reply to the questions we raised at the previous meeting. In fact, we did a site survey in January, and we did discuss certain issues on site. The administration has prepared a paper for us. Let us invite the Undersecretary, Professor Chan, to introduce the paper. Professor Chan, please. Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, members. Good morning, Chairman. In response to members' questions on the 25th of January and also the site visit on the 1st of February, we have provided a written reply. We look at the two bus interchanges. We've prepared some drawings for members. With regard to the expansion of non-smoking areas, NSAs, as we have done before, and as we have said before, the BIs in tunnel portal areas is or are the pilot points for expanding the NSAs to other public areas. We will conduct a review after 12 months and will consider expanding NSAs to other facilities or areas. And we do want to drop a timetable for that. As for the bus interchanges, members have commented On the proposed NSAs, we have considered members' views, and we have also talked to relevant departments. I would ask the head of TCO, Dr. Lee, to speak on the details. As for the setting up of a smoking room, we'd like to thank members for their comments, and having balanced the needs of smokers and non-smokers, we have made the relevant reply, give the relevant reply. As for the provision of smoking room, there is no evidence to show that smoking room can effectively separate smokers from non-smokers. There is no evidence to protect the non-smokers outside the smoking room from inhaling secondhand smoke. In overseas jurisdictions, there are no such arrangements. We think that is really not possible for the provision of smoking rooms. We will continue to keep an eye on the experience of other jurisdictions and also the studies in the international community. Well, as for the litter bins in the BIs, bus interchanges, as for the design of such litter bins, we have talked to the FGHD. We will put suitable litter bins and also litter boxes for cigarette butts. In drawing up the order, we have worked very hard on it, and we have taken into account the actual circumstances of each tunnel portal. And where conditions permit, we will set up areas where smoking is allowed. And after 12 months of the implementation of the order, we will consider further measures. Maybe, Chairman, would you allow Dr. Lee to give further explanation on the arrangements? Members conducted a site visit and made several suggestions, and I'd like to address those questions. First, the Shingmun bus interchange. Well, everything is in the paper and there are drawings. We know how to read it. Yes, I'll try to be brief. As for the Chunwan bound bus stops, the railings will be moved backwards. We've consulted the view of the Transport Department and the CEDD. The removal of the moving back of the railings are not feasible. This is not possible because the accidents. If there is any accident, then the vehicles will roll down the hill slope. Just tell me a railing or a beam barrier where it can prevent the vehicles from rolling downhill if the vehicles crash against the barriers. Can you give me the copies of their reply? Yes. As the area behind the panel, a smoking area, behind the panel. We've measured the size of the area. It is very close to the queuing area. And there are many passengers passing by. If we set up a smoking area here, this may not be possible. And we've also received complaints, many complaints that people are already smoking there. If we allow a smoking area here, that may not be effectively segregating smokers from non-smokers. So the proposal is not possible. As for the bus interchange at the Cross Harbour Tunnel, near the Poly U side, on this side of the Salisbury Road, a smoking area can be added near the Planta. But this is a buffer zone. This is the crossing of two roads, and therefore this is a buffer area, and many passengers also pass by. If a smoking area is put here, that will not effectively separate smokers from non-smokers. Another proposal is to set up a smoking area here. A smoking area here. We've looked into that as well. Buses do set down passengers here. People do pass by and go up the walkway or footbridge. So if somebody is smoking here, that will certainly affect those who are queuing on the staircase. This place is also not suitable for a smoking area because it cannot effectively segregate smokers from non-smokers. Right. Okay, the administration has given its explanation. Ms. Abba Chan. Well, this is what I have expected. I have no expectation to ask them. I'm disappointed by Professor Chen. She's irrational. The so-called technical reply just treat us as idiots. We have been following public works for many years. Just a small place allowing a dozen people standing there will be dangerous, then you should block all the roads. At any roadside where there is no railing, you still allow people to walk through. You just you just antagonistic against the smokers. Any public policy should protect. I'm not a smoker. Anybody, any policy should be should sympathize with the minority. Just giving people the smokers some sort of a little bit of freedom is wrong, and they want to kill all the smokers.
They're not willing to make minor adjustments to cater to minority interests. That is terrifying. So I urge the 10% smokers to start a revolution. They pay some $4 billion in taxes per year. I'd like the public to know that smokers contribute $4 billion to the Treasury per year. You not only have no basic rights, and whatever the government does, they want to terminate you. They treat you like lepers. It's terrifying. So, Chairman, first of all, we have our hands tied behind our backs. They will forge ahead even before the vetting is complete. At this stage, there's nothing we can do. Plus, the government wishes to bulldoze over us. So I'd like to have it on the record. I am extremely disappointed with Professor Chan and her department. I thought she was looking at the issue with some common sense, but she's being led by the department. She has the same hatred towards smokers. I'd like to have that on the record, so I can only continue the battle in another venue. But I'd like smokers to wake up. You are paying $4 billion in taxes, but the government's discrimination against you is that the government's hatred or discrimination against you is full-blown. Okay, I'd like to respond. Thank you, Mr. Albert Chan, for your views. I'd like to clarify that the Food and Health Bureau, we do not discriminate or hate smokers. But on the other hand, we feel that their health is just as important as the rest of the public. We have a responsibility to protect health. Well, isn't alcohol just as detrimental, but it's tax-free? I don't see you doing anything regarding alcohol. That needs to be clarified. Albert Chan, I have not set a time limit, but the Undersecretary can respond, and then Professor, I just want to clarify that we don't hate smokers. In fact, we spend a lot of resources to help them quit smoking. On this occasion, this amendment of the law is based on a lot of public outcry. So we hope that as there is more evidence that secondhand smoke is detrimental to health, plus we have a lot of complaints, we have a lot of sincere calls for expanding the no smoking areas. So this is just a pilot program regarding the 8 tunnel portals and bus interchanges. We visited those places many times. So aside from Sengmun Tunnel, the rest we are trying to designate NSAs such that smokers' needs can be met. We have tried to understand the situation in Sengmun Tunnel. If we were to create a NSA there, it cannot protect public health. And at the 8 tunnel portals, we have received the largest number of complaints from Sengmun Tunnel. So I'd like legislators to sympathize, and you could explain that to smokers. Well, Professor says that there have been complaints. How many complaints do we have in Sengmun Tunnel? In our previous document, we had listed the number of complaints. There were 70-odd complaints. So, smokers, you need to hear this. Based on 70 complaints, your rights can be denied. That's ridiculous. 70 complaints, and they need to wipe out the rights of 10% of Hong Kong people. So if that's not discrimination, what is? If that's not hatred, what is? Mr. James Tian, it's your turn. Well, Chairman, this is just a storm in a teacup. If you hear Mr. Albert Chan's call for smokers to start a revolution, well, if you bear in mind what happened in Wong Kok recently, do we want are minorities being oppressed now? Just as Albert Chan, I don't smoke. We have bureau secretaries that are doctors. They invite me to breakfast. We have also members who are smokers. Well, you're an adult. It's how you wish to handle your diet and health. That's your issue. I know people who are in their 90s who still smoke. But the diagrams you're talking about, During my campaigning, I visited some of these locations. I feel that the buses, or when there is congestion in tunnel portals, I think roadside pollution or pollution from vehicle emissions is even more dangerous than smoking. So if people are queuing there and we have buses and private vehicles, taxis, so is it really impossible to have a no smoking area? I don't think there are a lot of smokers. So if you give them some, if you can allow them to vent their stress, well, I want to have a harmonious society. I don't smoke. When I'm campaigning, I have to hand leaflets to voters. Well, we have Road Transport Bureau. They say it's out of safety issues. They have to have a railing there. So, is it decided by you, or is it food, environment, hygiene? It seems that bus stop management, it should be managed by Transport Bureau, but it seems that FEHD is handling the matter. From your perspective, you're correct. You treat smoking like a drug. Oh, you can have a complete smoking ban, but that's not the case. They just urge smokers to smoke less. They tell smokers not to create a nuisance and so on. Well, then you also need to protect the non-smokers' rights. You need to urge them not to smoke. You need to tell the young kids not to smoke. But so, given this, is it really the case that there's no room for compromise? I think this will be endorsed by Legislative Council. Smokers won't create a revolution, but we see that a lot of public grievances are built up over time. We just don't understand why fish balls lead to revolution. So when you have minor grievances adding up, it creates a social dissonance. So we really have to take a good look at as to whether everything is not possible. So, Undersecretary, thank you, Mr. Tien. Regarding the Hong Hom Tunnel bus stop, before conducting the site visit, we had considered the different options. We had to look at the topography, the traffic flow. We had to see whether during peak hours would a lot of people be waiting a substantial amount of time for buses. So given these considerations, and we had also considered legislators' suggestions, we had consulted with the relevant departments. We're not going through the motions. We are looking at it seriously. Just now, Dr. Leaf didn't mention that we had liaised with the relevant bureau, that's Transport Department, because as Mr. Tien said, Transport Department, they have a lot of facilities, rails that they are responsible for, and at the foot of the staircase they are considering some works, and if you were to, it's not feasible to add a NSA there. So, but even given that, we have pledged that we will conduct a review after 12 months. We'd like the pilot program to go ahead, and if there are issues or problems, we will rectify those. Well, the review is in 12 months. Why don't you pledge that, well, since you already have some works ongoing, it seems that you can accommodate a non-smoking area. Well, why don't you do it now rather than wait 12 months, rather than pledging that you'll revisit the issue in 12 months' time? Well, from the information we got from Transport Department, they are considering building an elevator, so it will be a permanent structure. And of course, that is just one consideration. As Dr. Lee said, we have people disembarking and boarding buses, and if there are smokers, there are people disembark there. It will affect the people queuing, because a lot of times people queue right up on the bridge, and we'll have to see how we can fine-tune the program and balance everybody's needs. Thank you, Chairman. Well, the last paragraph in your paper says you'll review in 12 months' time. Well, I hope I didn't. Is it going to be after 12 months or within 12 months? So we would like you to review as soon as possible rather than 12 months later. Well, basically, we will be reviewing the situation as the pilot program is ongoing. We would also like to get a conclusion and examine our way forward. I'm not saying indefinitely after 12 months. We will review in 12 months' time. And if you wish us to attend the meetings, we can do so. If you wish to come back to this panel and report on your conclusion or outcomes, well, Chairman, I do not accept this arrangement, especially regarding Transport Department. Is it architectural services? I'm disappointed. I cannot accept that. I wish to convene another meeting with the two departments. I would like to have a dialogue with them. I think their explanation is ridiculous. If the committee just lets them off the hook, then departments will treat us like idiots. They will. You know that I've followed engineering projects for decades, and you're saying that it's dangerous in Shingmun Tunnel Portal. They don't understand engineering. They have not even visited the site. They just apportioning the blame to different professional bureaus. They are making up excuses that are not based on engineering principles. If this committee were to accept their explanation, then there's no need for us to do our jobs. We need to get these departments and have a dialogue with them. We cannot accept their blatant lies.
Sometimes the undersecretaries are also lying. 70-odd complaints a year. Is it too many? I ask the smokers to write to government departments every day, asking for smoking areas. Now, if there are more, 100 times more such complaints, they see what they will do. Say, ask the CDD to come along. Yes, after the meeting, we can provide the correspondences or the correspondence between us and them. I just want to tell Mr. Chen that we didn't lie, and we did look into the situation, and we asked questions and we got the replies, and we didn't direct other departments on what they should do. The view is simply based on their own professional advice. Mr. James Tian, probably I am just back from a holiday. I don't mind to have 2 or 3 more meetings. I don't mind. If we have 1 more meeting, we call other departments, such as the Transport Department, to talk to Mr. Chen directly, or they can talk to other members directly. And in fact, we have put Sophie on the spot because she is not coming from the Transport Department. It's good to give some papers to us to read beforehand, of course. We don't have many meetings as far as this committee is concerned. I think the officials can come along and let us ask them questions point blank. And you can also give us some papers beforehand, before the meeting. Maybe Mr. Chen can ask for more officials to come. Just ask officials to come once and for all. Do you need the Transport Department only, or you want the engineering departments? Now they mentioned a lift. They're going to build a lift. After building a lift, there may not be any space for the smoking area. And you can do nothing. Even you can do nothing, whether it's 12 months from now or when. Now, instead of asking the questions through the Bureau, it's better to ask the departments to come along and let's talk to them directly. Yes, Chairman, it's very important to make sure what questions are asked. Now, if you just move the railing back without allowing anything to be changed, then you really can't do anything. Now, if you want to make the area safe, they may need more insulations. We need to give our view to the department. Say if you turn a certain place to be a safe place for smoking, what suggestions would they have? And that's the question they should ask. Maybe we can give our view to the department through the Secretariat. If they want to set back the area in Tuen Mun Tunnel so that the place can be allowed for smoking, some arrangements will have to be done. As for the Cross Harbour Tunnel, I know that they're going to build lifts, but we have no timetable. They have to wait. They have to wait for resource allocation, maybe several years. A few years ago, we listed over 3,000 barrier-free access arrangements, and they have to wait in their queue. So if there is some time before the works to be done, then the area can be used for smoking. Say for other places where barrier-free access are to be provided, if works are not done yet, they are still open to the public. Now the KMB has a service station in Cross Harbour, near the Cross Harbour Tunnel portal. That area can be used for a smoking area, but it's not highlighted in the map. You can use that place for smoking. Well, have you looked into that? Yes, we do. We did. Dr. Lee can speak on this. Before Dr. Lee speaks, I want to tell Mr. Tian that we do provide a smoking area in at the Cross Harbour Tunnel portal, and only Tuen Mun Tunnel portal doesn't have a smoking area. Yes, upstairs in the footbridge, on the footbridge. Over here. Yes, there is a smoking area over here. Outside the bus stop. We ask people to get off the bus, go back 3 minutes up there, and then they come back. It's not that there is no space nearby. Your hatred towards the smokers very clear. Now, Mr. Chen proposes to set up a smoking area here, but this place is very close to the queuing area. It is difficult to segregate the smokers from the non-smokers. Setting up a smoking area here is not feasible. I cannot accept the reply. I find it outrageous. There are many places where people are smoking, say on footbridges, outside buildings, people are smoking. The place here is no different from 90% of places where people smoke. Now you don't allow people to conduct activities which is allowed in 90% of the places in Hong Kong. In other places people do smoke, you better ban smoking all over Hong Kong. You can see that they are really illogical. I'm disappointed by the department and also the Undersecretary. You've heard the view of Mr. Chen and also the TCO. I don't want the TCO representatives to speak on behalf of departments. Maybe we arrange it this way. The commencement date is the 31st of March. It's unavoidable. The order is different in the sense that there will be more non-smoking areas in bus interchanges. Even in the parks, there are smoking areas. We need to find a suitable balance. Maybe we have one more meeting, ask the departments to come along, learn the lessons. In the future, I've heard Albert Chen many times before. The non-smoking area for the bus interchange at Tuen Mun is suggested by Mr. Albert Chen. They just want some breathing space. The smokers want some breathing space. You can expand the NSAs, but you should give a small place for the smokers so that they can exercise their rights. In the future, when you expand the NSAs, if you are going to extend your NSA, then you should ask the department, say, we want to have a NSA here, but can you provide some space for the smokers? Well, if you ask the departments, you're not saying that whether they can provide space or not. Ask them to provide a space for smoking areas. I am not a smoker. I want more NSAs, but I do support the idea that a small place should be earmarked for the smokers. All right, let us have one more meeting. We ask the departments to come along to give a direct explanation. The TCO will continue to face these questions. Chairman, I agree with you. This is a very important principle. You need to protect the interests of the minority. You should not allow the grievances of the minority to accumulate until there is an explosion. As for the legislative process, I cannot recall they implement the proposal even before the completion of scrutiny of the subsidiary legislation. It doesn't mean that the government can't do anything. The administration can introduce another order to defer the commencement date. The power is in their hands. If they want to show hegemony of the executive, you want to do whatever you like. You just let it implement on the commence on the 31st of March. But I want to put on record that I cannot accept such an attitude. If the administration respects the subcommittee and respects the mechanism, the administration should introduce another order to defer the commencement date until the completion of study by this subcommittee. That is the point of view by Mr. Chen. Mr. James Tian. Now, with regard to the BIs, passing the changes, we are all non-smokers. If you ban smoking in all, passing the changes, and you mark out a small place for the smokers, people may have different views. So should it be discussed within this subcommittee, or should it be an issue of discussion for the transport panel or the food and health panel? With the banning of smoking in all bus interchanges, will a small area be earmarked in all these BIs for smokers? Now, how can you send a message across and then try to reach a consensus? I think that will go a long way to assist you in implementing the policy if there can be a broader consensus and more members of the Council can participate in the discussion. I'm a member of the subcommittee. I can give my view. And the view I have given, I have already given my view. I also asked the Undersecretary to come back to the panel within 12 months, and also they should explain to the panel how the scheme can be expanded. In the future, when you expand the scheme, I suggest they set priorities and then consult the district councils. The relevant district councils seek their advice.
And if they wish to create NSAs and BIs, if they want to create a smoking room in the NSA, they can consult the district council. So to respond to Mr. Tian, the specific policies will have to be followed up in the panel, but when we vet this bill, we can provide our views. So the government, we are calling for a ban in the NSAs. Well, let me provide some background. Mr. Tian should be aware that in the subcommittee's vetting of this bill, the government chose these 8 sites without any logic. Initially, they said it was tunnel portals. We thought that other places with BIs have a higher traffic flow, need even more stringent tobacco control. But now it seems to be they have chosen these locations haphazardly. There's no rule, rhyme, or reason. So, Chairman's conclusion, other political parties, the FTU, Civic Party, they feel that you should have considered minority interests. This principle seems to have been abandoned. Well, no matter what, we have to revisit the issue in the panel. Undersecretary, thank you, Chairman, for your comments, your views, and our principle to designate NSAs. There's no difference. These 8 tunnel portal BIs, we already have 7 NSAs in these 8 interchanges. We are trying to satisfy the public's needs, and we have also designated a smoking area for smokers. So smokers, whether they find it convenient or not, that's a separate issue. But from a policy perspective, we have allowed for smoking areas. But in Sengmun Tunnel, we cannot subdivide it any further, and we have received too many complaints. We cannot do anything about it. And regarding these 8 BIs, it's the first pilot area in our proliferation of NSAs. So we have collected different views. We would like to expand it. We have visited Chunmun. We also need to consider traffic flow, number of bus stops, and so on. So that will be in our next phase of work. Well, I don't think you should set up a smoking area in the Hongham Tunnel. The government's logic is unacceptable. You cannot have a smoking area that is far away from the bus interchange. The logic is that you want to ban smoking in the BI, and you want to create a smoking area for the BIs, then it has to be in the BI. So having it on this footbridge, you cannot say it's for bus interchange passengers. You have to be clear. Otherwise, all BIs, they will, in the future, they will make reference to the Hongham example. They will set a faraway location, and they will say that it was the policy, and this Hongham smoking area, that's not a bus interchange. Okay, I think we've heard all the views, even though we still don't have a consensus. Well, I don't think your department should respond on behalf of other departments. The other departments should give us a technical explanation of why it's not feasible. Why we can't have a smoking area in the NSA. I will communicate with the secretary for the next meeting date, and well, please settle on the date as soon as possible. Well, it's already expired. We just need to finish up our work. Well, you need to pick a date where more members can attend. I'm supposed to attend the bankruptcy meeting. Well, Chairman, when the other departments attend, they need to have the opportunity to hear us directly. Yes, the Secretary has heard your views. Okay, let's adjourn here, and we'll arrange for the next meeting, and we'll invite. So the Food and Health Bureau will have to help coordinate and invite the other relevant departments. Thank you.